stay together for the kids.
The Ugly Truth of Divorce podcast with Sam and Leah, helping you not just survive, but thrive.
We are going to come to you today with, you made a post inside of your support group.
My private support group, Divorced and Empowered. Yeah.
And-
I asked them, what was the worst divorce advice you've gotten from friends or family? And there's some good ones in there, and some things that I had heard myself during my own divorce. So I figured that would be a kind of a fun thing to talk about. And I would love to hear if you got some terrible advice, because I feel like friends and family at some point always give you some advice that's probably not good. And even if it's coming from like the goodness of their heart, right, and they love you, it just might not be practical, or it just might not be something that just is aligned at all with you or how you feel or what you want to do.
Yeah. I would say right off the bat, somebody that says like, don't go to bed angry, that marriage advice, like that's the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to fix this fight before bed sometimes. So I can't even wait to hear what this divorce advice is. So
yeah. So, and this is one that is super common. This was commented over and over again, and it's stay together for the kids. People say that all the time. Stay together for the kids. And one comment said that she was told to just stay and pray. And that
always guilt that religion in there to make you really feel like a pile of shit for leaving.
Yes,
throw Jesus in there, make you really, really pile on the guilt.
And it happens all the time, right? And this is why people stay in marriages way longer. And then afterwards, they're like, I should have fucking left sooner. I should have left sooner. Yeah. But they do it because they think that's the best thing for the kids. And there's so many reasons why that's not the best thing to do. I feel like, number one, your kids are not getting the best version of you. If you're not happy, if you are truly deeply, you know that you're in a place where you don't feel like you belong, your kids aren't getting the best version of you, period. Right?
Absolutely.
Also, you're setting the example for what kinds of things you're going to tolerate in relationships, right? Yep. And what a marriage looks like. So however you guys communicate or don't communicate, or your intimacy or your cooperation, all of those different dynamics that come with being in a marriage or in a long-term relationship, your kids are going to be modeling that. They're going to see what it's like. And so if it's not healthy, then you're training your kids what an unhealthy relationship is. That's what they're going to be seeking, right? Yeah. Like they're going to be looking for that in their own relationships. And so that was really, for me, it was like, my ex and I, we were just like fighting all the time because we just didn't agree on anything. We just made a horrible team. And so that's what my kid was seeing all the time. That's what she was hearing all the time, was like us arguing. And that's what she remembers. Yeah. She remembers, oh yeah, I remember you guys used to fight all the time. I wasn't going to fucking do that for another 50 years.
Yeah. Well, I think having older kids, I asked Joe and Walker a lot of questions, and Joe just said the other night when I was asking, I'm like, hey, I need an idea to talk about tonight. She said, can you talk about how parents think that kids don't know that they hate each other when they're married? She said, I have a lot of peers who know their parents want a divorce, but they're sticking it out until they graduate. And she was saying her friends are like miserable because she sees that they don't talk. And when they do, it's an argument. They go to bed and they sleep in separate rooms. They make fake statements to each other, condescending, passive aggressive statements in the kitchen. And it's making the children feel very uncomfortable. Like, just get a divorce already. Like, it's not as big a deal as what you're making it. And she said a lot of her peers are just like miserable. Like, how did you get your parents to get a divorce? Asking Joe. And Joe was like, well, I played no part in it because I was one. But she said her friends are like, they think the parents think it's a big deal. And the kids are like, it's not. Like, I'd rather see you happy than walking on eggshells inside my own house, watching this shit show.
Yeah.
You know, and not knowing, and can't say, hey, I know you two hate each other. The kids feel uncomfortable watching the shit show. Because you're not hiding it all.
Right.
You're not.
And honestly, like, kids don't need married parents. They need healthy, happy ones, right? It doesn't matter if you're living in two separate houses. Like, just try to be the best person you can be. Take care of yourself, make healthy choices, and choices that are aligned with like who you want to be and what you want out of life. And those are the best lessons that we can teach. Not, well, I made a promise to this person, so no matter what happens, no matter how fucking miserable I am, I'm just going to suck it up and deal with it. And that's the other thing is like, and I did this too, is if you're struggling with that decision, ask yourself, if my daughter was in this situation, what would I want her to do? Because I know that my answer wouldn't be, well, fucking suck it up and deal with it because you made a promise. I'd be like, get out, come stay on my couch if you need to. So it's like, why are you holding yourself to this unrealistic standard when you know damn well if your kid was in the same situation, you'd be giving them the complete opposite advice.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think fear, the unknown is why a lot of people stay of what will it be like when the kids are gone? It'll be easier when the kids are gone. So I'll just wait till then. 18 years sometimes can feel really long whenever you're not happy. So
yeah,
to me, your kids want you to be happy. Every kid does.
Yeah.
Their first response might be like, oh, divorce. But when they finally see the new you, I mean, I think it's all worth it.
Life changing. And okay, so another person had said, don't get a divorce because it will be hard. Divorce will be hard. Marriage is. I mean, divorce is hard, but what's worse? Like, is it harder to be divorced, or is it harder to live a life that you don't even want to be in, and like be married to somebody that you don't want to be with, and that like you can't stand? Like, that's harder to me, is just living in misery. Divorce is more short term.
I kind of look at it, and I'm saying this as somebody, it took 4 years to get divorced. I look at it as childbirth. When you're doing childbirth, you're like, God damn, that was tough. That fucking hurt. That was miserable. But then when you like a week later, when you have this newborn, you're like, I don't remember it. It's whatever,
right.
So
worth it.
Once I got away, worth it. Absolutely. Once I got away from my divorce and my life got better, like I'm not like, I don't freshly remember that hardness. I don't freshly remember how much pain that was. I mean, I can recall it if I really dig deep, but like it was 4 years, it was miserable, but I'm over it. And now the greater return on the investment has paid off, to have, yes, I went through 4 years of hell, but look at the whole picture of my life. I'm going to live hopefully till I'm 90 something, 4 years of it to get a better long-term life.
Yeah.
Do it. I'm all for it. Worth it. Worth it.
Yeah. And so this advice is to be vengeful, destroy him, right? Destroy him in the process. Now, I know that a lot, like if you're dealing with somebody who's a total prick, of course, your girls in your corner, right? Or your people in your corner are going to be like, fuck that mother, like, take over all he's worth, Now, but is that the most practical strategic advice? No, because you're going to be paying out the ass in legal fees anyway, because it's just going to be a battle back and forth. So I think the best approach is to just do what's fair. Like, make sure you're fighting for what you deserve, but I would not go above and beyond to make sure you're like tearing somebody a new one.
I'm going to go with, I think you play the line, I think you cross the line 1 or 2 times with 1 foot in a divorce. I don't think you should follow 100% of the rules. I mean, I was a rule follower all through mine. I didn't get a fucking sugar cookie at the end for playing by the rules. I think having a logical, fair brain going into it, but I think it's okay to cross the line and do a little dig once, or do a little jab, or do a little undercutting, or do every once in a while, 1 out of 10 times. But for somebody that didn't do it at all through her whole divorce, again, I look back on it and that motherfucker crossed the line 95% of the time, and I didn't cross it at all. And we got the same result. So it's like, sometimes I'm just one that if you got an opportunity to put something obvious out there, but it's going to mean you have to cross the line a little bit, put 1 foot over the line. I'm not saying jump over and stay over there. Just put 1 foot over the line, do your little jab, do your little thing, get a little dirty, but come back. Mm-hmm. So many people though, once they cross that line, they're like, fuck it, let's live over here for a while. Right. And that's when you're just going to be spending.
And then on the opposite end of this spectrum, advice sometimes that people hear is just give them whatever they want. Just get it over with.
Yeah.
Terrible advice. And in fact, that's probably the second most common thing that we hear of like regrets afterwards. The first one is I should have left sooner. Second one is I should have fought for what I deserved. I should have fought harder. Because a lot of times you just want it to be over with. You're like, fuck it. Like I'll just sign. Like I just want this to be done, especially if this has really been dragged out. But you still have a lot of life to live on the other end of that finish line. And you want to make sure that you're setting your future self up for success. You don't want to fuck yourself over just because you're uncomfortable in the moment.
I see so many women make the mistake of fighting for their kids and giving up on money because the ex and the ex attorney says, if you just let up on the money demands, he'll give you the visitation schedule you want. And right then and there, the mom is like so hell bent on, yes, I got to have the kids. Oh my God, I got to protect the kids, that she doesn't look at her financial future as a single mom raising these kids 80-90% of the time, because that's the visitation schedule she wanted to protect the kids. And now she's on her own. And legally, you can't mix visitation and money talk. Mm-hmm. And secondly, you got to look at your future and make sure you have stability. And just because you wanted your kids so bad, your ex knew that. And so they used mental warfare to say, I'll give you the kids if you sign off on this. And you do, because you're so emotionally attached to your children and you think this is the immediate best decision, that you don't hit pause and go, what's best for me 5 years from now? Do I need stability 5 years from now?
Mhm.
Yes, I'll still need that. I'll still need help with the kids. I'll still need this, this, and this. But we get so emotional in that decision, and or we've been beat down so bad because the divorce is taking year 2, year 3. I'm up in the 60s and $70,000 that I'm like, fuck it, I'll sign it. And you're just tired. And then you rest up. And a year later, you're like, damn it. I was just emotional when I signed that. I was just tired when I signed that. And I shouldn't have signed that.
Mhm.
Giving into demands too early. And a lot of it is uneducation and not knowing what your laws are. The law is on your side to get what you deserve.
Mhm.
Know the laws in your state and counties before you sign anything.
Right.
And don't believe your ex. You can't get that. Well, I beg to differ.
How about you took a vow? You need to work through this.
Oh,
Now
pulling in
here's
the
the
religion
thing.
thing. That's pulling in the religion thing.
Yeah. So if you are religious, right, and that really truly means something to you, I get it. I get it that is a really hard decision to make, especially if your family is like just not supporting you through that, or like your church friends and community. But I can almost guarantee that before the person who decides to get a divorce, before they go and break that vow, there's been other vows that have been fucking broken. Okay. Before that.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
You guys don't have this nice, respectful, caring, unconditional, loving relationship. No divorce, is a result of a good marriage. Right. So some shit was going down.
Some sins were occurring.
Before you decided on that. And the other thing is, a vow, like a marriage it's a contract. Like you're signing into an agreement with someone.
Mhm.
That is not unconditional. There are conditions. You were not born on this planet and given life to sign your well-being over to someone else. And then, and just to say, well, now you can do whatever you want to me. And I just have to deal with it because I made a vow. I made a promise in front of my friends and family. So I just have to suck up whatever you say and do for the rest of my life. That's not how that's going to go. Yeah. You deserve to be happy and healthy, and your kids deserve to have a happy, healthy parent. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you're making choices that align with that. And if being in a marriage that's not healthy is taking away from your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, any of that, then that's not a good fucking choice. Period. Right. I will die on this hill. I will die. I don't care who I made a fucking promise to. I owe it to myself. I have to make a promise to myself to take care of myself. I come before, I promised this dude I'd sit here and just fucking deal with him for the rest of my life. No. Yeah. I will never feel that way.
I look at it as, I think everybody changes throughout their marriage as they age, and they change as a human, as just themselves, they change and evolve. I mean, if we look back to, how we dressed and talked and our interests in junior high to even when we graduated high school, there's such a big difference in who we were as a person. And that's just a 5 to 6 year time frame. Right. You take that into a marriage, I'm going to change interests and evolve. And if my spouse doesn't, do this with me or accept the changes that I make, whether it be health issues or hobbies or friend circle changes or whatever. And if it doesn't align, I'm good with leaving you and going and find somebody that does align with me and my new feelings and thoughts. So I think being divorced and going through battles like that, we have a different perspective. We see people's battles every single day in our consults and our group coaching, and everybody has a different story too. And I don't want anybody to ever think that they have to like relate to a story like, oh, that sounds like me. Maybe I should leave too. Or, oh, I should stay because you stayed. Like, your story is only yours, and only you know what's going on inside of your house. And don't let anybody pull this garbage of your vows or the kids or money. Like, there's no reason to stay in a shitty marriage. No. There's really none.
Not if you're unhappy or your mental health is suffering. Like that's not okay.
Right.
I had heard this idea. I don't even know where, probably TikTok. And I love this idea, is that marriage should be more like a lease.
Yes. Every 7 years,
Instead of like,
let's renew.
but yeah, every 5 years or whatever, you get to reassess. You guys get to decide, is this working? Are you
I
guys
think every
happy? Do you want
4
to
would be a
continue
good
this,
idea.
or do you
Yeah.
want to switch, switch
I think
model?
so too. Like we get to redo the contract. Like I think it should be every 4 the first few years, and then like at year like 12, you could be like, okay, do you think we can go 5 this time? Let's sign up for 5. Yeah. I mean, I think to me that's realistic. Hey, let's do a check-in at 5 years, and we precondition what the 5-year term would be, which would be you'd have the house, I'd have the cars, you'd take some debt. Like it's already preconditioned. And when you get to that 5-year mark, you already know what the conditions are. You already know who's walking away with debt. You already know who's walking away with the kids' schedule. You already know who gets the dog. And you say, okay, do we like the terms of this, or would we like to renew and just keep moving forward? And let's readjust the terms. Because if we sit there at the 5-year mark and say, yeah, I think we want to stay together, we can make our new terms for that, because we're getting along. We're sitting there saying, yes, let's stay married for another 5 years. We can set up the terms for the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
And then if we get a 10, we're like, now I think we're done. Well, we've already settled it. We already settled it when we were getting along. You know, like I think being a divorced person and coaching people in divorce, I've always said, man, when you get married, after your honeymoon, you get home, after you've spent a year of marriage and you're still, oh my God, I love you. Sit down and do a parenting plan together. If you're going to have kids, sit down and do a parenting plan together while you two fucking love each other.
Right.
And make that bad boy.
You should do prenups also, like while things are good.
Yeah,
like
I have no problem with prenups
when you're getting along,
I have no problems with prenups. Like to me, I want security. If things go awry, I want security. I want to know what I brought in, I get to take back.
It's just responsible. It's just realistic, right?
If I'm looking at the divorce rate in 2024 and somebody asks me for a prenup, I'm going to take a good look at it, because it's 2024. The divorce rate isn't going down, guys. And if it is, it's actually, I think it's staying like a plateau. And it's only because less people are getting married.
Correct.
More and more people are not getting married.
Or waiting until later in life to do it, which I think is so smart. I mean, I wish I would have done that. I would have saved myself 2 divorces. If I waited until I was in a good place in my own life and didn't need somebody to make me happy, I would have chosen a lot differently,
Yeah. What else you got?
This person, and this is terrible, terrible advice in my opinion. He doesn't physically harm you, so you should stay with him. Like that's the bar. Is that the bar, the standard? Well, as long as you're not getting,
it's not 1956 anymore, guys. Yeah. That's not a standard to stay.
Yeah. You should not force child support through the court system. Just trust him to pay you directly.
I could give you a quick list of 4,000 people that did not work for.
Yeah.
And that's just last week.
So, right. That's not good. Yeah.
That's not good. You go through a system. It's a contract agreement. It goes out of the paycheck. It's the easiest thing. And it's less hassle. And then it's not a focus on money between the two of you. It's just automatic. That person doesn't see it go from their paycheck because it's pre-taxed, taken out. And that's a no for me.
Yeah. No.
Big no.
Stay with him. He's an alcoholic and needs you to take care of him.
I mean,
no, because then who's taking care of you? Why is that? Why is it your job? That's a fucking grown ass adult. You're not the mom. Like you're not the therapist. You're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to be equal partners. If he's not going to take responsibility to get himself help, that's not your job. I'm sorry. Like it's not. You guys are responsible for yourselves in relationships. Even if you're in the healthiest relationship ever, your happiness is not your partner's job. Your health is not your partner's job. They're there to support you, but it's your job. So you should definitely not be staying with somebody because they need your help because they can't take care of themselves.
I just had a consult yesterday with a mom who has a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old, and her soon-to-be ex-husband has been a pill popper. Pretty much, she said the whole marriage, the kids have only known him on drugs. And same thing. She was told, like, this is for the kids. You can protect the kids if you just let him stay here with you. And you'll always know that the kids are safe, because once you get divorced and the kids are going to have to go with him, he can't even put his pants on, let alone take care of children. But she said, I stayed too long because everybody around me was saying, you can't shove him out. I mean, she's like, we're uppity people and nobody saw it coming. And she's like, I hid it for him for a long time and I helped him through it. But she's like, I'm exhausted and I deserve a new life. And I deserve these kids to be free from this burden of, is dad going to die today?
And this is the thing is like, we're talking about choices. Popping pills is a choice. Alcoholism, I understand that that's a disease, but it's still something that can be addressed and fixed. And we're not talking about like, he's diagnosed with cancer and it's like there are different things. Like if somebody has some kind of health problem or they got into a car accident or something crazy, I think that's different than I'm making terrible choices and it has an impact on my whole family and I'm not taking responsibility for it or getting the help that I need.
Yeah. I even have cases of TBIs. I have like 4 or 5 clients that have TBIs that ended in divorce because the TBI altered their brain and made them somebody different. And the 2 spouses were like, you're not who I married and this is not, your personality's different and you've become different and your needs are different and I can't hold out on this. And again, it wasn't under the contract of how they got married. This person has become someone different. And I just don't know why people get so like upset that somebody has agreed to, this isn't the terms that I thought we signed up for and I'm done. I signed up when you weren't popping pills. I signed up when you weren't drinking and it's not my job to hold your hand. Because especially once you have kids, I think it's like my attention needs to go there. And you're sucking the life out of us with your fucking needs, and I'm all for giving somebody an assist. But when you don't take the assist and the second assist and the, hey, let's go to rehab or, hey, let's get some help or, hey, let me get you detox. And you keep saying, no, I have to let you hit a rock bottom because I have kids that I got to worry about. That's my priority is protecting them because again, kids are sponges. And if they're watching that, this is how dad copes with skills in this story, it's dad because it can be moms too. But in this story, if that's, dad pops pills when he needs to cope with something bad, what's the kid going to be picking up on? Kids are sponges and they're watching this, if they see somebody that's an alcoholic, well, when they're upset, they drink. When they're sad, they drink. When they can't sleep, they get up and drink. They drink for breakfast. Like, kids are watching. Now they know it's wrong, but again, later in life when they're like, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to take a drink. That's what dad did. Right. Like you guys got to protect your kids from this shit. Staying for them to watch it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. It's not your job.
Another one is you're too old. Don't get divorced. You're too old. That's just a mindset thing, right? It's like, no, it's never too late. You're never too old. You don't know how many years you got left. Make them good. Make them good ones.
Right. I know a lot of people and I'm a golfer. I know a lot of people that have divorced late in life, like baby boomer age. And we're just like, you know what? I'm sick of your shit. After 40 years of you, there was this couple at the golf course that everybody loved the wife. Nobody could stand the husband. He was just a dick. Talk down to her, go get my beer, go get the car, and we were all like, come on, like you gotta, please. And over the winter, she dropped him like a bad habit. And she came to the golf course with somebody new and it was pleasant and treated her like a queen. And she's just like, man, I should have ditched his ass a long time ago, Yeah. She didn't realize there was good men out there that would treat her like a queen, And
yes. Yeah. So, it's like mindset. If you got to believe that, there's a person out there for you. You got to know you're worthy of it and that you deserve it, but it's certainly never too late. Yeah. And we can finish on this one. This is a good one. Just become friends with his mistress. Terrible advice.
I'm telling you though, as long as I've been doing this, there are some fucked up stories I hear. And I practice my Switzerland face where I don't pick any side when I'm like, oh, okay. I've had people that have got caught cheating and that's what they proposition. They say, hey, let's be a family. Let's, let me have a little side on the side. And she's a really great person. Let's just be friends with her. And there's some people that value their marriage so much over their own self-worth that they'll allow it.
Right.
They will allow it.
Right.
Yeah.
I would never be able to do that. Yeah. I know somebody's saying who the hell
I
would want to murder her.
Unless she's good in bed too. And I'm in it. Like that would be my only okayness about it. But it's a no for me.
No,
it's a no. I'm not turning a cheek on that one.
No. So if you guys are getting some advice from friends and family, I think the thing about
find new family.
I think most of you guys realized that this was bad advice when you were hearing it. I hope, and this is kind of just you're reflecting and kind of talking about it now. But it does happen. It certainly happens. And so I think you have to really ask yourself too, when you're getting advice from someone, is the advice that you're getting coming from someone where if you could trade places with that person, you would? Right? Like, would you take their life if you could? Because if you wouldn't, then they probably aren't maybe giving you the best advice. And trust yourself. Every woman is so intuitive. So intuitive. It's like magical. But we've been taught to like ignore it or brush it off or just say, oh, well, this is probably, I'm probably wrong. I'm probably right. We come up with all these excuses to like ignore our own intuition. The more you practice tuning in, you have all of your answers. Like, in your gut, in your soul, you have that inner knowing of like, what the right choice is. And sometimes when you ask advice or you get too much input, then that mucks it up. It like muddies the water, and then you don't have that clarity because now you've opened up yourself to like all of this incoming, everybody else's fears and all of their insecurities and all their projected bullshit. And now you're kind of having to sift through all of that, and you're not so sure if you trust yourself. So for me, I very, very rarely ask people for advice. And if I do, it is only a very small amount of people. Like, I don't go to a bunch of people about things. I'm like if it's like business related, it's like I have maybe 2 people that I would ask.
You mean you don't go to social media and ask the question?
I don't. No, because that's just too much. I don't want to be inundated with people's opinions. I know. Right? I want to almost just bounce how I feel off of someone that I trust to help get some clarity. Because you have to remember that when they give you advice like that, that is a projection of their own shit. Yeah. Right. It's not necessarily the best thing for you to do or road for you to take. Right. So just be careful. Be careful who you're listening to.
I think whenever I was, I'd filed for divorce and I just kind of gotten into it, and I surrounded myself with people that were not probably the best influence. And my mom pulled me aside about after a year of it. And she just said, look around you and ask yourself, who's the top dog in your group? Who has their shit going on? Who do you look up to in the group you're hanging out with? And I was like, none of them. And she goes, yeah, they're all looking up at you. You're the one that has their most shit together is you. Why are you with that group? Like, you're leading a pack of animals. Like, come on, leave the group and go be the underdog in a group and look up to people that you surround yourself with. And I think a lot of us get in that comfort zone of being around people that are yes men. Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And so you surround yourself with those people, and nobody's challenging you. Nobody's making you think outside the box. Nobody's saying, hey, do the hard thing. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to have to do it, and I'll be here to support you. Everybody kind of just stirs the pot with you a little bit and keeps you kind of down, because heaven forbid you rise above and become a better person and have to leave the group, right? So I think you really got to look at who you're hanging out with, who you're confiding in, who you're talking to. And I think that advice that you just gave, would you trade lives with them? And I look back at the group I was hanging out with, and fuck no.
Right.
Like, no way. So why was I hanging out with them? Right. They made me feel good about
like myself. Obligation. If you've known people for a long time, you just kind of feel like, well, I've just known them forever. So I'm kind of obligated to stay in touch or to go to these, girls' nights or whatever. But yeah, it is true. I mean, if you want to really evolve as a person, you've got to really look around at who you're surrounding yourself with. Are they people who you can learn from and who inspire you and motivate you? And even on your like social media feeds, like, who are you following? What information are you consuming? Is it shit that makes you feel worse about yourself? Right. Or are they people who inspire you and motivate you and people who you look up to and you can get ideas from and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys pass this along to somebody that needs some good advice or somebody that's going through a divorce. Let them hear some of this bad advice so they know it's bad advice and not advice to make them stay in their shitty marriage. So until next time, guys, make sure you share, follow, like this, and we'll see you again.